and welcome to another episode of Faking News, official news channel of Game of Pownes, and also, of course, for Lolo Land. And it's important that we broadcast at this moment because the whole world is going through a terrible pandemic. The T-virus pandemic. I bet you thought I was going to say the coronavirus, huh? But you forget that we live in the world of Game of Pownes, so things happen very differently here. So, back to the virus. Now, this T-virus has been spreading through the world of Game of Pownes, and when it is contracted, it has been seen to cause the person stricken with it to turn into a zombie. Now, so far, several people have contracted the T-virus, and the different countries have been handling all of this in their own special way. Their own very special way. Over in Lolo Land, many civilians are staying home and arming themselves, although they have been doing this ever since Trumpland waged war against Lolo Land. Even our reporter Delirio is held up in his home with his family at the moment. And in Trumpland, the strategy is slightly different, and that is to have T-virus parties where the civilians have been encouraged by their president to invite these zombies over to their houses. And this is his attempt to support the people's freedom to do what they want, and also to help open up the economy again. Now, over in Lolo Land, the president has said that the T-virus is nothing but a minor little flu, and he has encouraged his cult of supporters to contract the virus and then try to spread it around the country in order to make sure that everyone gets it, to somehow make the country better. Maybe zombies would run the country better than his administration would. Who knows? However, despite this terrible pandemic, Trumpland is still going ahead with its main assault on Lolo Land, and that will be the main battle for today. We have John Bolton at the helm, and this may be his last chance to take Lolo Land before the pandemic really sets in Trumpland. So, let's have a look at the armies. But before we do this, let's look at the scenario. Lolograd, the capital of Lolo Land, is the focus of the attack, and it is also the current residence of Saint Lolo. It is surrounded by woodland, which gives a lot of defence for the city, and so it will give Lolo quite a good advantage against John Bolton when it comes to cover from foliage and city buildings. We can see here that John Bolton has many fast attack troops to make this a quick victory. I am sure he is hoping to get to Lolo as quickly as he can to gain a great victory for Donald Trump. He does have some long-range attacks from a Star Destroyer and a Phatic spaceship though. As regards to Lolo, her force is much smaller. She has a Koala Destroyer spaceship, but under her leadership, her country has really invested in education, and especially in the colleges of magic, and so she has 3 wizard battalions. Their magic can be a little unpredictable, but this is a risk she has to take. Also, she has 3 battalions of Sylvanian troops from Bauble City, and these have the same statistics as Koala combat squads. However, these will only arrive at the start of a turn in the game on the score of a 5+ on the roll of a d6. And now, time for the battle. Now with this battle we don't have a debate to go with it, which is probably a good thing because it won't take up so much of your time to watch. The actual fact is I don't actually have a debate between Lolo and John Bolton to analyse because, well, why would John Bolton debate a fictional character? Exactly. But never mind, let's move on now to the battle and I'll comment on this as we go through. Let's go. Okay, and here we are on the other side of the intro, and I forgot to introduce the intro, but then an intro should really introduce itself, I guess. Okay, let's now get on with the first round of this battle. Okay, so we can see here we have Lolo's force on one side, and we can see that John Bolton's force is much larger, so this is going to be difficult for Lolo, but don't you worry, because Lolo has the advantage of the woodland and also protection from the buildings. So hopefully she can withstand the attacks. We can see here that Lolo has one of her Grand Wizard battalions waiting in the woodlands. And Lolo herself is on the side of a hill in this battalion. If John Bolton destroys her stand, then Lolo Land is lost. And on the other side of the board we have John Bolton, who is surrounded by his other battalions. In this game, the commander cannot be targeted unless their battalion is the closest to the shooter. As usual, both sides start with 0 victory points, although John will be awarded double victory points for every kill that he makes, as Lolo's army has a lot more natural protection. And as usual, both sides start with 0 luck and blessing. So I think we're ready to start with round 1. Let's go! And Saint Lolo moves first for the first round. And Lolo's Grand Magic Weavers are the first to cast their magic. Whoa, and severe damage has been done to the Star Destroyer. And now we see what happens to the Star Destroyer. And also the Scud tanks get hit in the blast. So, at the end of that round, Lolo has taken out 2 of John Bolton's long-range battalions, although John still has plenty of troops. Looking at the armies now, we can see that Lolo has done quite a bit of damage, and not suffered too much damage, although she did lose one of her wizard battalions. And at the end of this turn, there is no sign of the Sylvanian warriors. And we can see that Lolo is in the lead with victory points, but she also had quite a few blessings during that round. Okay, so let's now continue with round 2. John Bolton goes first for this round, and as he has lost his main support weapons, he tries to advance his close combat troops as far as possible. and Lolo moves her combat units into close combat. Now John Bolton has no troops to fire on first fire, so it's Lolo's turn for firing. And now, advanced fire. And that is the end of the second round. And we see that John's forces suffered quite a bit of damage in their charge trying to get into close combat with Saint Lolo's forces. John no longer has his Phatic spaceship, so all long-ranged fire is gone for him. It really is up to his close assault forces. And Lolo has lost another wizard battalion, although she still has her most powerful wizard battalion at the back and in cover. And a roll is made for the arrival of the Sylvanian warriors, but they don't arrive this turn. Lolo is still in the lead with victory points, and she gained another blessing in that round. However, now that John's troops are moving in on Lolo's troops, Lolo may start losing this lead. So, let's continue now with round 3. And John moves first again for this round. And Lolo now counterattacks with her troops. And that is the end of round 3. Lolo's forces are still holding back John's forces on her left flank, but John has a strong attack coming in on Lolo's right. Lolo has been gradually whittling down John's forces, but the number of troops that Lolo is fielding is getting less and less, and there is still no sign of the Sylvanian warriors. As victory points go, Lolo is still keeping the lead, but the main boon for Lolo has been the blessed dice rolls that her Grand Magic Weavers have been getting. So, I think we can now move on to round 4. This time, Lolo gets to move first. and Lolo's battalion has to come in to support her troops in combat. And now Lolo's wizards cast another spell, a boomerang field. And round 4 is over. There weren't too many kills in that round. Lolo's forces are still holding, just, and they are still doing some significant damage to John. And there wasn't much damage to Lolo's forces in that round. And you know what else there wasn't? The arrival of the Sylvanian warriors. They may arrive too late. With victory points, John is catching up to Lolo, and neither side was lucky or blessed in that round. So, on to round 5. Lolo moves first again, and she joins her forces in close combat. And her Grand Wizards cast Cursed Wind. Well, that was a short round, and Lolo's battalion is in a perilous situation. And John still has plenty of troops. And after the loss of the Koala Destroyer, this could be the end of Lolo Land. Except that at the end of this turn, the Sylvanian warriors have arrived. Finally. And it's about time, as John Bolton is catching up to Saint Lolo with victory points. And I don't think blessings will keep Lolo safe for much longer. So, let's go on to round 6. And Lolo goes first again, and her Sylvanian warriors are all positioned along the side of the board. And John Bolton is vulnerable to attack. This will be a close fight. And the other Sylvanian warriors support their commander Lolo. John Bolton then moves his people into position, and now it is Lolo's Grand Magic Weaver to cast some magic. and John Bolton's command stand is destroyed. And at that, his forces turn tail and flee the battlefield. And that is the end of the battle. We can see that John Bolton lost an awful lot of his troops, and Saint Lolo managed to hang in there. But it was all down to the Sylvanian warriors coming in at the end and taking out John Bolton. And here are the final scores for the battle. Okay, and that is the end of the battle, and Saint Lolo was victorious, which is good for me because I still have a job reporting news for Lolo Land, and I doubt that Trumpland will ever try to take Lolo Land by force again. Maybe they'll try a coup, who knows, but at the moment Lolo Land still stands firm. So, that's the end of today's report, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Right, we can go now?